Good morning, everybody. This is Omar Serrano with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast. Hey, Tinkerloo, no falling asleep. It's Friday morning. It's Friday. Today is not the day for sleeping. Today is not the day to have that level of energy. We got a lot to talk about. We're doing it a little bit differently today. I can't get away from this Justin Baldoni case, this Blake Lively stuff. We're going to be talking about the lawsuit that just dropped yesterday, I think. Where he's suing Blake Lively and others for $400 million. If you've been following the Making a Murderer case with Stephen Avery, I'm going to highlight or touch on a little bit about his appeal. It was recently denied. What does that mean for him? Well, it means that he ain't going anywhere, is he? They wouldn't even grant him an evidentiary hearing. That defense attorney gets up in the documentary in part 2 and season 2 or whatever, and she says she has all this new evidence, and she highlights it in her appellate brief, and they were unimpressed. He doesn't get an evidentiary hearing. He's stuck where he's at. It is what it is. Shit. Dominic, I forgot to hit record. Now we'll fix it later. We'll just have to cut out the intro. What else am I talking about? Oh, we're talking about, so there is this movie that came out in 2008. Some of you may be familiar with it. It stars Liam Neeson. And it's one of these movies that was like written by a guy that it's like, oh, this is like the ultimate guy fantasy. Somebody has kidnapped your daughter and you were going to be traveling internationally into France to go and rescue her on a boat where she's being held captive for 27 days. And then you go and you kill everybody and action scenes ensue. And then you have lines like, I don't know who you are and I don't know what you want. If you're looking for a ransom, I can assure you I don't have any money. But what I do have is a particular set of skills I've acquired over a long career, skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. That'll be the end of it. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will kill you. Good luck. And then dun dun dun, the music and the movie's off. We have a real life scenario where that actually happened, and I think that we should get right into that. But before I forget, let me roll the intro, and then we will get started. You're going to want to stick around. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Whatever you might be going through and wherever you might be, this is Omar Serrano with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast. I'm here to take your mind off of things. Yes, I'm an attorney. No, I'm not giving you legal advice. We're going to sit and talk like people, as these are the candid thoughts of one practicing attorney, and it's after hours. So have a seat. Feel free to have a drink and join me. Let's get started. All right. So December 9th, 2024. 14-year-old Emma Ray Gervasi was last seen at her home on Terrell Street in Pachugi, Long Island. She tells her stepmom that she's going to go outside, get something to eat, or get something from the family car or something. She goes out without her shoes or a coat, despite it being December, rainy weather in Long Island. That was around 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. that evening. Later, Frank Gervasi, who was Emma's dad, shows investigators footage of an unknown car pulling up to the driveway. Emma proceeds to get into the vehicle willingly. Or there's been some people that said that she was pulled in, but it appeared to her dad like she got into there willingly. And then she was gone. What happens next? So December 9th to 10th, Emma is seen on surveillance footage at a motel in Bohemia, knocking on doors at around 2 to 3 a.m. Whatever she thought was going on didn't go the way that she planned, would be my guess. Now, this is a gentleman that she had been talking to online. Turns out, now the suspect that they have in custody is a 65-year-old gentleman, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. But she was talking to somebody online that led to this level of trust where she is getting into cars or maybe getting close enough to get pulled into a car. And all of this stems from that. So between the dates of December 10th to December 29th, her dad, Frank Gervasi. Now, when I first saw images of this case, I really thought that her dad was the suspect. He looked like you would think a suspect would look. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up and share with you some images of this guy. He has full-on beard. He looks straight out of Sons of Anarchy. And his face is all tatted up. And I got to say, the images of him that we can see, and this is him right here. How do I share my screen, Dominic? I know I'm asking like I've never done it before, but sometimes in the moment. Here we go. So this is her dad, the bearded gentleman here. Emma Gervasi, that's his daughter. These pictures of the two of them, there were some that I just saw that just kind of led me to believe that maybe her dad was the suspect. Suspicious for sure. But yeah, that's her dad. When I first heard about this case, just kind of halfway listening to it, as it rolled in the background, I thought that this was the suspect. That is her dad, and that is her daughter. You see the thumbnail in our video description. That's him, and that's her daughter, or his daughter. And so between the 10th and the 29th of December, he begins this relentless campaign via social media, distributing flyers, talking to locals, working with the Suffolk County Police Department. They received many tips, some of them false, some of them were actually very harmful. So he decided to post a message on Christmas Eve, a heartfelt video message expressing his hope for a Christmas miracle. And you got to imagine, let's just say, there's been a lot of accusations about there's something fishy about this story. Look, I don't know about any of that, but let's just for a moment just assume that the simplest explanation is true, that this young lady got caught up with somebody online and she was abducted from her home. It was caught on surveillance, and then she's on this road to perdition, to this boat where she was ultimately rescued from. Her dad, not knowing whether or not she was alive or dead, goes on this relentless pursuit of her. Imagine all of the things that he was going through. We just had a case like this where we talked about another case about that missing lady from Hawaii that just decided to F off to Mexico and not tell anybody about it. Her dad goes on this long search for her and decides to end his life at the top of an LAX parking structure. Decides to jump off a 6-story building and take his life in very dramatic fashion. This dad put all that energy into the pursuit of his daughter. So Christmas Day, he's continuing with the search. He's posting videos expressing his determination to bring Emma home, dead or alive. Imagine even having to utter that sentence when the whereabouts of your child, your offspring, is in doubt. December 26th, he posts a video about a man he refers to as Cheese, an older man who had been interacting with Emma on social media for about a year. Cheese was his effing name. A woman comments on the post that she knew Cheese, that she knew Cheese, and that he was fired from his job for sexual harassment around 2019, 2020-ish. Cheese denies any involvement, of course, and states that he was in Puerto Rico with his father at the time of the disappearance and that he will sue Frank for defamation. Threats ensue. Between the dates of December 27th to 29th, Frank posts updates on his search, sharing the pain he's experiencing and speaking about his daughter's difficult past, mentioning that she has a history of running away and that he believes she's being held against her will. Um, I wonder what he found out that led him to go from "I want her back, dead or alive" to now I believe she's being held captive against her will. I don't know. On December 30th, in the afternoon, Cheese posts a series of messages on his own page to clear his name after Frank makes false accusations against him. And on the 31st, Frank is interviewed along with community members at another search event, stating that while he understands the comments about letting the police handle it, he's got to remain active. And look, they're going to do their search. I'm going to do mine, is pretty much what he said. He says he's not going to rest until she is found. He's going full on Liam Neeson. On New Year's 2025, Frank shares that there is still not a sign of his daughter. The next day, Frank states that he fears Emma's life is in danger. He releases a message directly to Emma saying that he knows she might think she is too far gone to come home, but to come home, all is forgiven, whatever. The morning of January 3rd, Frank announces on social media that he has found Emma. He found her. The day after he releases that message, announces on social media he has found her. He confirms that she was found alive and is receiving care at a hospital after enduring 27 days of trauma of God knows what. He states that she was found at an eye slip by her father, thanks to a crucial tip. It was confirmed that she was not there willingly, that she was overjoyed to see her dad when they were reunited. He basically found the boat where she was being held captive, exactly the same as the plot to Taken, busted in, broke into the boat, and saved her. Now, the key difference is there was not like some heroic fight scene at the end. There wasn't like he has to get rid of the henchman, and then there's like the penultimate boss, and then the final boss, and then the big reunion video game ending. No. When he got to the boat, nobody else was there except his daughter. He broke in and saved her. That's what happened. It was anticlimactic, except for the reunion aspect of it. So, Frank reports that he received an anonymous tip from a woman stating that his daughter was on a boat, and we talked about that. Frank confirmed that Emma was found the day before and explained that the tipster said that she was on the boat and that she said there were dangerous people on board. He revealed that he had to enter the boat himself to rescue his daughter and that she's receiving care. He believes his daughter is the victim of sex trafficking, was held there against her will. Dominic, you're familiar with this movie, Taken. Is it just a little bit weird that it almost exactly resembles the plot line of Taken, the sex trafficking angle, being rescued on a boat, 27 days held captive? Literally, you're only missing the action sequences.
Yeah, it's a little odd, definitely.
I don't know what to make of that other than pure coincidences. You know those disclaimers in the movies where they say, look, this is based on a fictional account of the writing, whatever. If anything happens to resemble real life, it is purely incidental. I feel like if this is indeed not some kind of a put on or a hoax or whatever people are saying about this guy, and I'm not going to make those accusations, but people are saying that, it is the coincidence of all coincidences, a real life Liam Neeson. To what depths would you go to save the life of your daughter? Dominic, let me ask you, if you had an 8-year-old out there that you knew was out there and you were looking for her, number one, what would you do to try to pinpoint her location? And if you were lucky enough to find out that, oh, she's local in the marina on a boat, what lengths would you go to go get her? I guess what I'm asking is, would you go in like Rambo style and try to get her yourself like an idiot, knowing that there's dangerous people on board and you're probably going to be outnumbered like 12 to 1? Or are you going to set up a sting operation with law enforcement to go get her and even the score? You know, is that even smart to do it that way? I don't know.
I would definitely get law enforcement involved. There's no reason to just go out there on your own.
I mean, I'm all for going Rambo and all, but if you know the location and where she's at, exactly where she's at, and you know and have been told the day before that there are dangerous people on board, I gotta assume he went in there armed. I have to assume that. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere, but why wouldn't you get the entire SWAT team on your side to at least level the playing field, maybe have some snipers on nearby buildings, set up an operation to save your daughter and give her the best possible chance of survival? Because look, if it's really 12 against 1 and it goes wrong, not only are you dead, but your daughter is gone. You got to be smart about these things. I mean, what's the probability of success? Going Rambo style, you might succeed. You got a 4% chance survival rate if it's really 12-1. Now, luckily, according to him, there was nobody on board. By some circumstance, she happens to be a victim of sex trafficking and on a boat that has been abandoned and is able to. This whole story sounds fishy, man. If it's true, then Jesus, what a risk and what a gamble. Because if it's me, if it's freaking John Jones, the pound for pound greatest MMA fighter who's ever lived, he's enlisting the help of law enforcement to get his daughter and ensure her safety. It's not about him. It's not about ego. It's about giving her the best possible odds of survival. That's how I would view it anyway. Anyway, so enough with my rants. On January 6th, Frank confirms that there was an arrest in the case. News outlets had reported that there was the arrest of this 65-year-old man, Francis Buckheit of Islip, New York, on charges of kidnapping, child endangerment. Frank claims his daughter had been told that there was a lookout boat nearby and that they were watching her to ensure she didn't leave. Frank makes a Venmo for donations to Emma's recovery. So he set up basically a donation fund to aid in her recovery. Does that sound fishy to you, Dominic? I don't know. It's not a GoFundMe to like her legal fees or whatever. Her attackers are going to be criminally prosecuted. It's a GoFundMe for her recovery.
People were saying in chat maybe therapy.
Therapy does not require a GoFundMe in most cases. I have it on good authority, being a family law attorney, that there are plenty of therapists out there that accept health insurance. And even the ones that don't, they bill like at $120 an hour. Maybe. I don't know. But a guy that had the resources to go take on whatever sex trafficking operations that were going on, he would strike me as a guy that probably has health insurance. I don't know, man. The story is starting to not make sense to me. And I might have just left it alone, except, but for now, he set up a Venmo asking for donations. Color me skeptical, man. I'm not trying to cast aspersions. I'm just saying something don't sound right. On January 8th, defendant Francis Buckheit is scheduled to be in court on the 9th. He's indicted by a Long Island grand jury on the 10th. Philip Hamilton talked about, he did a whole show talking about the case, detailing events, and including that Emma had been seen in a motel and all the other stuff that we talked about. Who in the F is Cheese? Has it been confirmed that he's this guy, Frank? Is Cheese the 65-year-old guy, Frank Buckheit? I'm curious to know that. And what a name. 65-year-old man who is arrested, charged with kidnapping, child endangerment in connection with Emma's disappearance, pled not guilty. Yeah, so I don't know. That's the story so far of what we know about her. And the only reason I brought that up, number one, is because when I first heard about that story, it resembled so much that movie, Taken. But then you get into the details, and there's just red flags. There are red flags. Now, granted, there was a man in custody, he's been indicted, and all this other stuff. So there's some truth. I'm not saying that there's no truth to it. I'm just saying that it's kind of fishy the way that it all went down. I could see why people are looking at the dad sideways. Um, there's just a lot of unknowns. Something to track. Something to track.